Well, everybody, I'm back and I'm really excited. And I know what you guys are saying, Constance. You're always excited. And hey, that's a vibration, right? We have two very special guests today, Miss Janie Charlot and Russell Bruce. And they're going to be talking to us about their latest book, Capacity to Love, one of my favorite subjects, and awakening to unconditional love. Yeah, no, I believe that everyone who comes on my show that has really been ordained by the Spirit. And so open up your heart, open up your spirit, and just be ready to receive that one word, that one insight, that one aha. A download that you need to change your life. So, Janie and Russell, welcome to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
So, Janie, did I mess up your last name or what? Pronounce your last.
A little bit. Charlot, like
Charlotte.
Charlot.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. I'm really feeling bad. I've been rehearsing all week. But so I'm going to tell the people who edit this not to revise it out simply because I think sometimes people may see people like us as perfect.
True.
And so I just want to show everybody who've been thinking about, I don't want to put myself out there on video. You see just what a mess I made right now. So thank you for your love and patience.
Oh.
So excited about your book while I've read it. And so let's just delve right in. So Janie, tell us a little bit about you, and then Russell, tell listeners about you.
Yeah, so I am a family nurse practitioner by occupation.
Okay.
Author, two-time author now.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And, podcaster as well, Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. That is Russell and I's joint venture, and a mother.
Okay, I didn't know you were a mother. So interesting.
Yes.
So interesting. So Russell, tell listeners a little bit about you.
Well, I'm somewhat of a Renaissance man.
Okay, you use some big words, Renaissance. What does that mean, Janie? Okay, keep going.
So by trade, I'm a network engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing that for probably about 30 years.
Mm.
My hobby on the side these days, I'm a chef, podcast host with this beautiful woman right here. Also, I have several products out there in the food line. Author of a cookbook.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, and co-authored this book with my beloved here.
Oh, so grateful. So guys, let's get started. So everybody, I want you to open up your heart, open up your spirit. Capacity to love. So like in your first chapter, you're talking about capacity. When I hear that word, it almost makes me think expansion or something. So who wants to talk about, why do we need that capacity? What is it?
Yeah. Do you want to expound?
Well, just for starters, you may hear different people out there talk about, you'll have a person who has this like gallon, like they have a big heart, they're full of love and joy. And it could have a lot to do with their upbringing, things they've experienced along the way. And then you can have this other person who, maybe their upbringing was pretty rough and there wasn't a lot of hugs, wasn't a lot of love, there was abuse, that nature. And they really haven't healed yet. So they might have like a teacup size love or capacity, in their heart, right, in their capacity. So, and these two people see each other one day, they come together, whether it's a friendship, business relationship, or even a romantic relationship, it tends to have some difficult times because they don't seem to relate when it comes to the inner depth and things that really matter, because the person with the big heart really can't feel what this person is bringing. They could be giving them all that they have, but they only have a teacup, but this person has a gallon. Whereas this person's love is kind of like over flooding them in some things they may not understand, because they're not used to people being nice to them. You'll hear some people going, well, he's too nice, or she's just,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because they're used to toxicity. So,
and with the gallon, that may cause someone to run away because, oh, that's too much, and then somebody that is only offering you a teacup worth of love, you're felt left still having a void, like you're still not fulfilled. So it's unequal capacity, unequal.
Right. And that's where you start to see the games, the manipulation, dishonesty,
The
distrust.
push and pull.
Yeah, the competition within romance or within friendships, because the other person may be trying to put a hole in your gallon and bring you down to the teacup size so they could deal with you. Like, sometimes people just they're not comfortable with seeing people happy and winning, but, in the book and, a lot of what we're about is helping people heal and to increase that capacity so that they can, fill each other's cup.
That, you said that so eloquently, and I've just heard some people say he just doesn't have it to give. He's doing the best he can. That's all that he has. So Janie, you want to add anything else to that? And so
Yeah.
when two people meet, whether it's in business or personally, we'll talk about that capacity a little more.
I just wanted to mention that capacity is about stretching and expanding, like you said. So we have to understand that occurs over time and experience.
That's
so
good.
We know a baby don't come out the womb dancing. The baby has to be held, then starts to crawl, then starts to walk, and then starts to eat on their own. So we're kind of like that. We have to grow our capacity over time and experience. So sometimes you've been through relationships and you're probably going to come across that same test because it's trying to teach you a lesson in that and to grow your capacity to love, basically.
I love that. Well, and so the next chapter talks about what is love. And I'm going to ask you first, Russell, because y'all know I'm a coach and I've asked so many men, are you in love? And that same answer comes back to me. Constance, what is love? And so if you could answer this question, Russell, what is love? I know Dr. Caroline Leaf, who is a neuroscientist, said that we're wired for it. I mean, God wired us, spirit wired us for love. Everybody's looking for it, searching for it. So Russell, what is love?
Right. And it is really a great question. One of our early podcasts, by the way, we did it on what is love, what is God, and we just start randomly calling up friends and family and ask if they would participate because we didn't want them to be able to rehearse it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because we pretty much understood that a lot of people see the world and love and God differently, right? So we were amazed. We got a whole bunch of diverse answers, but there's really no right or wrong answer per se. But for me, love is like the greatest vibration in the universe, right? Mm. So when we say God is love, right? And, so to me, God, you can't even fathom thinking what God is unless you think energy, because, God is spirit, right? And truth. So you really have to look at energy because it's that one thing that has never been created, nor can it be destroyed. It just moves and changes shape and form. So love to me is that greatest vibration that we are all created through. Like, for example, a tree is just in harmony with nature and with the sun and with the rain and with the soil to do what a tree does. Like we're in fall, we see the leaves going through its fall season where the leaves are changing beautiful colors and falling to the ground. Mm-hmm. And eventually when spring comes back, it blossoms back in green. So it's just doing what it was created to do, like a bird does what it's doing. It's not trying to be a fish. But when it comes to human beings, we have free will. So therefore, we deviate. Like, we're children of the Most High. And we were created with purpose, on purpose. We were created in love to be loved. So therefore we should express it and give it in being the harmony or the vibration of love. And when we're in it, and that's what our goal is, to stay in that vibration, that's where the magic occurs.
That's profound. Oh, so Russ is trying to get deep early in the show. Janie, so Jane, what would you say? What is love? Because is it God? Is it spirit? Is it vibration? And is it unconditional? What would you say?
Gosh, it's all of that. Sort of what Russell said, I would have to say that love is a vibration that if we can align with that vibration, we can tap into a vibration. And I do believe that everything here that we see on the physical plane has been made out of love, the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. Love is at the center of it all. We were created in and of love. So at the core of who we are, we're love. We have forgotten that.
Yeah.
Through various things, right? But that is who we are. And when we come back to that remembrance, because we just forget, that's all it is. It's not that we have to learn that we're love. We just have to remember that we're love.
Because is it because of life experiences, what we've been taught, what we've been exposed to? Because when I hear Dr. Caroline Leaf said we're wired for love, and if we're made in the image and likeness of God, it's really who we are. But you said we've forgotten.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was going to say we do. It's various experiences. I mean, honestly, you could think about when a baby first comes through the womb, it is going through trauma. It's going through the birthing canal, and it's crying. And right then and there, it's trauma, which is kind of the absolute opposite of love. And then through various childhood experiences, you are programmed, which is another big part of why we have forgotten. There's a lot of programming on fear, which is also opposite of love. So through childhood experiences, through programming, social engineering, all these things, we have forgotten who we are.
That is so good.
Like an example of what she's saying, like when a child comes into this world, right? The child's given a name. That name is not who you are. Like, I'm not Russell, she's not Janie. We're really sparks of the divine having experience as Janie and Russell, right? You're given a social security number. You're put in a tribe, you know, whether you're Black, white, or whatever your nationality is. You're none of those things.
Yeah,
you know,
we're cultured into different things. You know, our race, our all of it is conditions, and love is unconditional. It is no human condition can touch it. So what is that? It's just energy. It's spirit. It's God.
Right. So you have to understand who you are in a physical sense. We don't negate that, but ultimately, what you have to remember is that you are a spiritual being having a temporary physical experience. So our whole life is all about going through experiences, and ultimately the goal is to return to love or return to the remembrance that you're a child of the Most High. We are microcosms of the macrocosm. So if God is the creator of the universe, that means we have creative abilities within us. And when we tap into that divine love or that creativity, magic happens. That's where you have artists who are drawing pictures and writing music, creating products, and doing what we do, doing podcasts, doing what you do. That only happens when you tap into love, because now your cup is full, and you could love outside of yourself. So you could extend your love to another human being, and to your country, and to the world.
You know, I always say I give out of my overflow. I'm full of love. I got some water down here. I'm full of God. I'm full of everything else. And so because I am full, I can give. My
Yes.
overflow is to the world. So Janie, we know there are some barriers, and then I'm gonna come back and talk to y'all. I gotta have y'all talk about the law of attraction and can you really attract love before we hear your love story. But what are some barriers to love? Since we all desire it and people are craving it and we all want it, even from little babies, what are some barriers and where did those barriers come from?
Yeah, I definitely want to say fear. Fear is definitely a barrier to love. Is quite the opposite, actually. And
Mm.
fear comes in so many different ways. And a lot of times it's not that really overt fear, like I'm fearful of, spiders, that type of thing. Is the really very subtle fear that we don't even know that we have, that's hidden. So it comes in through past bad experiences, unhealed wounds such as childhood molestation, rape, abuse, just all of those. Also, I mentioned earlier, just social programming in our own cultures, in our own race, in our own communities. All of it is programming. And a lot of it is learned behavior, a lot of it. So all of those are barriers, and it prevents us from loving. Sometimes we judge people by the house they live in, the car they drive, the job they have, the money they make, their social status, how can they help us, and those are all conditions and barriers.
What about self-image and low self-esteem? Are those barriers?
Definitely.
Big
Lack of
time.
self-love is honestly the biggest barrier, because all love stems from self-love.
Ooh, that's really, you want to say anything to that, Russell, before I get into y'all's love story? Because, the number one question I get on the network, number one is, how can I attract more money? But I really think most people want to ask, how can I attract love? I've been trying, I read all the books. And Janie, what you said was so profound, just those wounded soul areas, self-image. What barriers do you see? I know that it's the same for male and female. What about with guys, Russell?
I think a lot of it is just societal norms. Like, I think depending on what country or what community you're raised in, it kind of varies, right? So we live in a capitalistic society, which is based upon competition and monetary values, right? So you need money to live a decent life, but it's the same thing. If you want to attract love or money, it's the same thing. What happens is people tend to look outside of themselves to try to draw it in, when in actuality, it all stems from the inside, right? So one of my mentors said it once, like, do not chase money, chase excellence. Because if you chase money, you tend to cut corners, and some people do bad things, and it you have to reset, and it puts you in a lot of trouble. Whereas if you chase excellence, if you're good and you're excellent at whatever field you endeavor in, the market will seek you out. you
Yeah,
know
that's so
so,
good.
so and the thing is, it's like we can't be so preoccupied with all the external things, right? Because like, one of my favorite quotes is that man began to lose himself when he discovered the mirror, because he became more preoccupied with his image than his soul.
Ooh, that's profound. Okay,
So
Russell. So Russell trying to preach, Janie. I don't know.
He does that.
I don't know. I don't know what's
this
up
is
with
our
that.
He
ministry.
does that.
Yeah,
He
I
does that.
already. But as you're talking, I'm thinking about myself because for years I dated my I dated rich men with money because I realizing as a therapist later because I didn't think I could have my own. So I
Mhm.
was looking outside of myself. My ex-husband, God rest his soul, he was rich, he had money, and I was looking for a daddy because on the inside of me, once again, going back, Janie, to those soul wounds, which I was oblivious to, even though I was a therapist, that's what I was looking for. So, for all of listeners, this whole thing of attraction sounds like you guys are saying it begins on the inside.
It's
You
all on the
have to
inside.
become it. You
Mm-hmm.
have to become it. So I was in a place of wanting true, unconditional love that I could feel at the pits of my soul. And when I put that out, God literally started to transform my life. And I understood that, wow, I have to become love. So I had to purge some things. I had a process of clearing out the vessel, because in order to get more of that light and more of that love to run through, you got to let all the other stuff come out.
I got you. Let's unpack that a little bit. We're going to talk about y'all's little romantic love story, big love story. So at the end, everybody who's listening or watching, you're going to go to their social media pages and their websites. But I mean, all you see is Russell looking at Janie just like a deer and just like, I'm so in love. I can say that because I know him a little bit. So tell us about, let's unpack that a little bit more for ladies, and then Russell, I'm going to come to you with masculine energy. So Janie, tell us about feminine energy and what you were doing. You were uh, all of the inner work you were doing, and how you met Russell, and then we're going to hear his side of the story.
Yeah. So just a little background.
Okay.
I have been married twice. And prior to the second marriage, I felt like I had crossed my T's and dotted my I's and was like, this was it. This was everything. And when that marriage, very early on within, it wasn't showing up. I felt the tug that, God was saying, okay, in this relationship, because I understand that marriages is one of the most healing relationships you're going to ever have, because you guys mirror each other for things to be healed and to have that true spiritual connection. So spirit was pulling me into doing that, but it was very much opposed by my husband at the time. And so I just started going in meditation and prayer and saying, okay, I've done everything on my part. Why I'm at this stop? Why I'm at this hard stop? And it was revealed to me that the capacity was not equal. It was not equal. On the other side, it was about the check marks and, the material things and just status and having the title of a wife or a husband and that kind of thing. And so that was a divorce. My father passed away. I had ended full-time work for full entrepreneurship. I was in a complete transformation, and I was completely within myself. I was seeking, I was meditating, and I was understanding that I was in a transition. And I was trusting. I was trusting spirit.
The big word.
I was surrendered.
Oh, that's a big word.
Yes, I was allowing everything to fall away that was not meant for me. And I was truly in an intention of divine relationships in all aspects, in personal, in business. And I really put that intention out. I only want divine relationships. I only want those things that are going to come to me that is purposed to take me where I need to be. And that's when everything started to change. And I want people to understand that it was a mess, because the dust is all dusty, but when it settles, it's clear. And in that, Russell and we met, and I saw him from afar, and I said, wow, I like how he puts forth so much soul and passion into his meals. And I have a weight management clinic, and I was like, I would like to connect with him, because all of my dealings were going to be in this energy, in this vibration. I wanted, I wanted all to be purposeful. And we met and we had conversations, and there was a definite magnetic pull right away. Like,
so was it that voice, Janie? I'm just playing now. No, I'm just playing. But
no, actually, that's in the book. So I think I sent him like a message saying, hey, I would like to refer some clients to you. How can we work together? And then I think we arranged a phone call. And then I was like, wow, what was that? Because your heart is very electrically charged. It's all types of energy and protons and neutrons and electrons. It's all wired that way. And all of that started to wake up.
So see, as a woman, I get that, because when you do meet your man, you're like, oh, Lord have mercy, as my grandmother used to say. And I want listeners to hear those powerful words that Janie shared: trusting, surrender, probably patience, and everything was unfamiliar to you.
Very. And even, even with what I felt, I still was very much in spirit, in meditation. And I knew how God worked in my life from young through college. So I was very certain when things were moving and working. So I went into prayer and was like, okay, what's up with this guy? Why this guy? Right. And Russell didn't know anything about this, none of that at all. And I said, I want some signs. And I got some signs, like real signs. I mean, Russell's name would show up, on street signs, company logos. It was very awakening. It was like, wow, like, and even when I would get them, synchronicities, even when I would get them, I'd be like, okay, one more sign. I need one more sign. Yeah. And it was a complete magnetic draw, completely.
Okay, so I know I have a lot of female listeners. I'm gonna ask you this, and then Russell, we want to talk to you about that feminine, the masculine energy. So you talked about checking the boxes in your previous marriage. So for a woman, a box would be stability, sometimes materialistic, and all of that. Did you surrender that to God too?
So,
you know what I mean? But when I say that a man has to have that or be that before that's my guy or my soulmate or my twin flame or whatever you want to call it.
So in the last marriage, all of the outside boxes were checked.
Yeah.
But where I messed up was I did not seek, okay, is this unconditional love? And that's what I learned, right? And because every relationship is about learning something. And if I would have observed, taken some time to go within, I would have noticed that.
Yeah. And another principle, ladies, I'm talking to y'all right now because I'm a woman. Janie said after she met Russell, instead of her saying, has he texted me yet? Has he called me yet? She still was focused in on God or spirit. She wasn't I ain't saying she wasn't thinking about him, but her focus was on God. I want your highest good for me. I want because I've done this before. And so she didn't have her focus in on him. Am I correct, Janie, in assuming that it was still focused in on doing her inner work?
Matter of fact, I was very verbal with Russell in letting him know where I was spiritually, and that he would have to come into that energy because that's where I was.
Ooh, okay. Now I knew she was awesome, but she just said something profound. And a lot, talking to my lady, to my sisters and to all of my female listeners, a lot of times, I know I have in the past, you shift you change, you move out of that spirituality because you might be hungry for love. I've been there. You might be desperate for love. You might be making choices from a wounded, unhealed soul. But Janie realized from her past experiences that it's within. I love it. Okay, come on, Russell. Masculine energy. And what was your story? Guys, for all of my male listeners, I want you to hear this. So, what's your story, Russell?
Well, you heard what she had to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And men are visual, so the first thing, the resume, you look at her, she's extremely pleasant on the eyes. So that part, even before we met, I always thought she was very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really knew who she was on the inside. So, you get the stereotypical beautiful woman. She's into all the Gucci and the Louis Vuitton bags and just all this other stuff, right? But, by time we met, just to speed this up a little bit, by
So,
the
so,
time,
yeah, so were you doing your own inner work on your end? What were you doing before you met her?
okay, yeah. So I'd also been married twice, and I had recently, about 5 years ago, come out of a 20-year marriage.
Mm.
And you know, and I can't say that I lost, right? I have two wonderful children that came out of that
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and I've learned a lot, and that's one thing we talk about. Some people be like, oh, they've been married twice, and it make it seem like it's a bad thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you only get good at something by doing it over and over and never quitting until you get it right, right? So we laugh and joke and say we're like Green Berets when it comes to love and marriage. So, so yes, I was personally working on myself, and, for years, like, I don't know if people notice, but I stumbled upon Constance's show like a little over 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and I had lost my brother and mother in the same year. And her show was like a saving grace for me. She had a lot of people on there talking about things about this inner work, and I started doing that work back then. Even when my marriage was falling apart, I
Mm-hmm.
was still trying to work on myself, and some of those things helped me get through it. So after the marriage, I tried to date, and it was hard for me because I spent most of my adult life as a husband. So I don't know how to be a boyfriend. I don't know how to scale it back and, just give them a part of me or whatever. It's all or nothing with me, right? So when I met her, our conversations they were on a soul level.
Yeah.
This woman, everything she just said, she means it. Like, she doesn't, like, you hear a lot of people who are very religious, they use a lot of buzzwords, and they talk about, the virtuous woman and all these different,
Mm-hmm.
but she's all of that, and it's like when we met, it was almost like our souls introduced themselves before Janie and Russell introduced themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like
Yeah.
she knew me. Like, we would just talk. She could vibe off of my energy, and after a while, she was finishing my sentences. Like, months later, it was just incredible. Like, she knew me more than any other human being on this planet, and a lot of it was because she could see who I was on the inside, and I could see who she was on the inside. So like,
Spirit to spirit.
spirit to spirit. So like one of my favorite movies is Avatar, right? So I love the part when they say, I see you, because I tell her it's like the God in me sees and acknowledges and honors the goddess within her. And she always speaks to my higher self. Like, she's never been the type of person to belittle, or even if there was a disagreement, it's always based upon, okay, how can we fix this? How can I help build you up? How can you help build me up? And we just spend so much time trying to uplift each other and keep each other in this positive, loving energy, because honestly, that's the only place where the magic happens.
Yeah. I love that. And so alignment with divine love. So for people that are out there looking for love, y'all know it's getting close to Christmas. People are like, I'm just tired of being by myself. How can people begin to align with divine love? What would that look like, Janie?
Like I said earlier, you have to become love. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to be looking for love in everything and everyone outside of yourself. So I recommend people go within, spend some time with yourself, start to enjoy yourself, start to anything that comes up, those emotions, and you need to heal, let it come up. Anything that keeps coming up is because it needs to be healed and released. So you have to become love. There's ways to do that. You can be of service, volunteer for
Mm-hmm.
things that you're passionate about, show compassion, show some empathy, pay for somebody's coffee in the drive-through, all those things opens your heart. It really opens you up. And when you become that, you are that energy. And then you can magnetically attract more love to you. So the more you are loved, the more you attract love.
That's so powerful. You want to add anything to that? That's so powerful because you truly attract who you are, not what you want. And so
Absolutely.
I say every week, it ain't outside. It's just like if I lost my key and I'm outside in my yard over here. I'm looking at now. My neighbor comes by and said, Constance, what you doing? I said, I'm out here looking for my key. And he says to me, well, where's the last place you had it? I said, in the house. And he would say to me, what you doing out here?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so it's inside. Anything you want to say about alignment? What about guys? How do they? Because sometimes guys like I love you guys, all my male listeners. Y'all got it going on, but sometimes they're like, this just wooey stuff. But can aligning with the love and becoming love, can it like impact you in business, Russell, and with entrepreneur ideas and all of that?
100%. And, probably the best selling book on success in business of all time is Napoleon Hill's Think and
Mm-hmm.
Grow Rich, right? And most people who probably never read it and just hear the title, right? Think and Grow Rich. In there, in chapter 11 in his book, which is a chapter on sexual transmutation,
Mm-hmm.
he talks about how man taps into his genius when he falls in love with a woman, and that
Okay, guys, keep going, Russell.
all great men achieve their greatness because they're inspired by a woman. Most
That
of
ain't
them,
nothing but the truth.
where they're inspired by their wives, and we could just look at somebody like Martin Luther King, gosh, Nelson Mandela, you look at their wives, Barack Obama, look at their wives. They were inspired by women. I don't think they would have achieved the greatness that they achieved without it. Now, they could have been good, but greatness. And I think when it comes to men, right, until their heart chakra opens up, they can't activate the higher chakras like their throat chakra, where they could verbalize their love and speak to others and influence people with words, or their mind, when the pineal chakra opens, where they're able to tap into their higher spiritual self and then beyond and tap into the most high. You know, people who know me, who have been watching me, even in social media, can see since we've come together, some incredible things have happened in my life, and she has been the inspiration behind it. And I can't sit here and make it seem like it's all of me, but it's God working through her for me. And I think when we understand, religion or spirituality at its deepest level, man was not meant to be alone, and man really needs to be with a woman to reach those higher levels, but it has to be for the right reasons.
Yeah. And I coach a lot of alpha males all over the world, and it's so interesting. The whole thing is, I want to be successful because I want to build this house and this business for my family.
Right.
And I tell women, let me tell you a secret. Motivate your man, tell him how awesome he is, and believe in him. And baby, the sky is the limit.
100% correct.
Russell, you know that. And so, lastly, guys, you were talking about, just that motivation with Jamie behind you and vice versa, a higher mission and calling. So, are you guys saying that when you awaken to unconditional love, there is something higher than just a relationship? Expound on that, Janie.
Oh, absolutely. Um, when you align with unconditional love, and I always say that that is a vibration. It is, you are also aligning with God vibration. So you become a conduit, you become a vessel for that love to work in, as, and through you, for your family, for friends, and then just out into the community, into the world. And then that energy, when people around Russell and I, they get a vibe. They're like, man, this feels good. And it helps awaken others to love. And so, yeah, our bigger mission is to help awaken humanity to who you really are. And we try to do that through our podcast and through everything that we do. We keep that at the foundation. And if anything kind of is off key, we go back to that foundation.
So when Russell might be acting up one day, not that he would do that, it's through your when he's acting naughty, as my Australian friends say. It's You allow that conduit, that unconditional love to flow through you to him.
So, like you said earlier, sometimes we put up mirrors to each other, right? Mm-hmm. So when Russell and I, because the masculine energy has more of an ego than a surrendered feminine energy would. Mm-hmm. It's just natural, right?
Right.
The masculine energy is very protective, that kind of thing. So sometimes that ego rises, right? And I just bring it right back to him, like, hey, this is your mirror, right? And then we can both come back down.
Okay, Russell. So we got 3 minutes. So when Janie, she's doing something that she should be doing, how as women, what we might do or say or act, how do you filter or conduit or allow that unconditional love to flow through you to her?
Well, Janie walks on water.
So I can kind of tell that she's making me feel bad.
No, well, so it's like I'm talking about, I'm not going to say we never disagree on anything, but it is very seldom, and it's always minute things, right? But she has a good way of always keeping me focused on what's most important. Mm-hmm. And when she says she stays centered and everything's in divine order, she keeps it there. Like, my job is a masculine energy is to provide, protect, and produce, and she's that soft landing spot for me to come to, when I need to be reprimanded, right? She does it in the most loving way possible. Like, it's always constructive and not destructive.
I think I try to just give a different perspective. Like, are you thinking about it this way? And I think I live in a space of self-awareness, constantly. Like, okay, I'm aware of the things I say before I say it. I'm aware of my thoughts. I'm aware of if I say this, how will I make this someone feel? how would this make someone feel? So I do that in my home as well. And so when things are a little bit off, I try to just bring it a different perspective. Have you seen it? Are you seeing it this way? Or are you looking at it a different way? And that's usually why misunderstandings occur anywhere. It's just a change in perspective. How are you seeing it? You know?
Yeah. This is so good. You guys are, I'm going to just tell you what I feel by the Spirit for you. Just a powerful demonstration in the earth for such a time as this.
True.
Just not just talking, but walking it out. Because, I hadn't talked to you guys, and I was on your show. I did do your show, but your pictures even vibrate something. And I'm like, okay, then. And then when I saw your book, and then when I read your book, and like I said to them, when I first started doing the show 12 years ago, I read everybody's book every week, but I don't do that anymore. My time just does not allow me, but I read this book. Very powerful. I love the spiritual component of it, the really practical how to steps that people can take, how you dealt with the psychological and the emotional. I love it. And tell people what your website is and how they can really get this wonderful book. It's an easy read. I was really quite drawn into it.
We appreciate that, Constance,
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot. And we really poured our souls into it.
It comes through.
And our experience, because it's a true experience. And when you awaken, any awakening is about the experience of it. Mm-hmm. So they can go to capacitytolove.net. It is available there, and also on Amazon. So we are definitely here to get this mission work and do it. Yeah.
Russell, tell us about your podcast and how can people find that?
Well, the podcast is Matter of the Heart and Soul podcast with Miss Janie Charlot. She actually started.
And don't say her name correctly because it makes me, it brings back memories of me at the beginning of this program when how I pronounced her name. But keep going.
Yeah, so she started the podcast. I was one of her early guests, and it went so well. She asked me to come back and then asked me to join her in the podcast.
Yeah, that was exactly how that went. And it is becoming our mission work. One of the things that we're able to just flow through that vessel is the podcast.
And
how can people find that, Russell?
Yeah, we've done over 60 episodes. It's on all podcast platforms.
Okay.
Once again, it's Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. You could either search for it with Janie Charlot's name or myself, Russell Bruce.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and also Instagram and Facebook as well.
So I'm trying to redeem myself now. So Janie Charlot and Russell Bruce, thank you so much for being on my show today, guys. I'm telling you, if you're married, if you're in a relationship, if you are in the process of thinking, I really am ready for love, this is the book for you. It touched my soul.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And
that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah, it touched my soul. So thank you so much. And everybody, visit their platforms and check them out. As I say every week, and it's certainly a choice. I want you to get happy, stay happy, be in the vibration of happiness, and just see what happens. Make a decision to have a great week, everybody.